The news broke like a thunderclap, shattering the morning calm and sending shockwaves across the globe. It was the kind of announcement that instantly made people stop in their tracks, eyes glued to screens, hearts pounding with anticipation. In living rooms, offices, and crowded city streets, everyone tuned in, sensing that history was unfolding before their very eyes. Philippines discovers $4 trillion mineral hoard. The headline blazed across every major news outlet, dominating conversations from Manila to New York, from London to Beijing. It was a discovery so vast, so unprecedented, that it promised to rewrite the story of a nation, and perhaps the world. On the RPS Explorer, a team of Filipino scientists stared in disbelief at the data from their deep-sea drone. The numbers didn't seem real. For years they had mapped the ocean floor, hoping for a breakthrough, but nothing had prepared them for this moment. Dr. Elena Santos, lead oceanographer, had always suspected the Philippine rise held secrets, but nothing like this. She stood on the deck, the salty wind whipping her hair, as she tried to process the enormity of what they'd found. Her lifelong dedication to the mysteries of the deep had finally paid off, but the scale of the discovery was almost overwhelming. Sonar revealed fields of polymetallic nodules, rich in rare earth elements, stretching for miles. These nodules, glittering like treasure on the ocean floor, contained the building blocks of modern technology: cobalt, nickel, manganese, and more. The scientists realized they were looking at one of the largest untapped mineral reserves on Earth. The initial estimates, trillions of dollars in value, enough to transform the nation. Economists and analysts scrambled to calculate the potential impact, their excitement barely contained. For the Philippines, this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to leap forward, to dream bigger than ever before. The team realized this was more than a scientific breakthrough. It was a geopolitical earthquake. The implications rippled outward, touching every corner of the globe. Suddenly, the Philippines was at the center of a new world order, its fate intertwined with the ambitions of powerful nations. As the ship returned to port, the world was already reacting. News crews jostled for position, eager to capture the faces of the returning heroes. Crowds gathered at the docks, waving flags and cheering, their hopes soaring with every new detail that emerged. In Beijing, emergency meetings were called. Top officials pored over intelligence reports, their faces tense with concern. The South China Sea had always been a strategic hotspot, but now, with unimaginable wealth at stake, the stakes had never been higher. In Washington, analysts scrambled to assess the implications. What would this mean for global supply chains, for alliances, for the delicate balance of power in the Pacific? The discovery set off a flurry of diplomatic cables and urgent phone calls as world leaders sought to understand the new reality. The discovery threatened to upend the global order, shifting power toward the Philippines. For the first time in generations, the nation stood poised to become a major player on the world stage, its flag rising among the giants. For ordinary Filipinos, hope surged. Dreams of new hospitals, better schools, and a brighter future. Parents imagined opportunities for their children that once seemed impossible. Communities buzzed with talk of progress, of roads and bridges, of a country finally coming into its own. Social media exploded. Everyone became an overnight expert on deep-sea mining. Hashtags trended, debates raged, and memes flooded timelines. The discovery united the nation in excitement, but also sparked fierce arguments about what should happen next. But with hope came uncertainty. Could the Philippines protect and manage this treasure? Questions swirled about corruption, environmental risks, and foreign interference. The government faced immense pressure to act wisely to ensure the wealth would benefit all, not just a privileged few. The mineral wealth lay deep beneath contested waters, already a flashpoint in regional tensions. Naval patrols increased, and the world watched nervously as old rivalries threatened to flare into open conflict. The promise of riches brought not just hope, but danger. The world's eyes turned to the Philippines, waiting to see what would happen next. Journalists from every continent descended on Manila, eager to report on the unfolding drama. The nation's every move was scrutinized, every decision weighed for its global impact. The promise was immense, but so were the risks. The Philippines stood on a knife's edge, balancing dreams of prosperity against the perils of greed, conflict, and environmental disaster. The choices made in the coming days would echo for generations. The nation stood on the brink of transformation, or turmoil. Celebrations erupted in the streets, but so did protests, as citizens demanded transparency and justice. The air was electric with possibility, but also heavy with uncertainty. The question: would this discovery lift the country or plunge it into new challenges? Leaders faced impossible choices, weighing the promise of wealth against the risks of exploitation and conflict. The world held its breath, waiting to see which path the Philippines would choose. The countdown to a new era had begun. As the sun rose over Manila Bay, a nation stood united in hope and apprehension, ready to write the next chapter of its story, one that could change the world forever. $4 trillion, an almost unimaginable sum, enough to reshape the destiny of an entire nation. This figure isn't just a number, it represents a potential windfall that could alter the course of history for the Philippines. To put it in perspective, that's 10 times the Philippines' annual economic output. Imagine the possibilities: new industries, millions of jobs, and a leap forward in global standing. But this isn't about gold or diamonds. The true treasure lies in rare earth elements, hidden beneath the soil. These minerals are the backbone of modern technology, powering everything from smartphones to electric cars and advanced medical equipment. Overnight, the discovery catapulted the Philippines onto the world stage, breaking China's near monopoly and shifting the balance of power in the global tech industry. Suddenly, the country was no longer just a participant, but a kingmaker in the global race for technological supremacy. International leaders scrambled to form alliances, eager to secure a share of this newfound wealth. The world's dependence on a single source could finally end, opening doors for fairer trade and more resilient supply chains. The Philippines stood at the center of this transformation. For millions of Filipinos, this was more than just economic news. It was hope, a chance to break free from generations of debt and poverty, to dream bigger and reach higher. Infrastructure, education, healthcare, every aspect of life could be uplifted. New roads, better schools, and world-class hospitals suddenly seemed within reach, promising a brighter future for all. But with great opportunity came great scrutiny. The secret was out, and the eyes of the world were now fixed on the Philippines, watching every move, every decision. The treasure would attract not just friends, but also predators, nations, and corporations, eager to stake their claim, sometimes by any means necessary. The calm waters surrounding the islands quickly became a high-stakes battleground, with tensions rising and the threat of conflict looming ever closer. The future of 110 million Filipinos now depended on wise, united action, on leaders who could navigate these turbulent waters and protect the nation's interests. As the sun rose over the archipelago, a new chapter began. The next steps would not only define a generation, but also determine the legacy of a nation standing at the crossroads of destiny. What are these rare earth minerals? Despite the name, they're not rare, just hard to mine in useful concentrations. 17 elements with names like neodymium and dysprosium power our modern world. They're in your smartphone, laptop, and electric car, making devices smaller, lighter, and more efficient. Neodymium magnets drive everything from hard drives to wind turbines. Rare earths are essential for green energy and national security. Fighter jets, missiles, and advanced electronics all depend on them. Control the supply, and you control the future of technology. That's why this discovery is so explosive. The Philippines now holds a key to tomorrow's world. For decades, China has been the undisputed giant in the rare earths industry, controlling more than 95% of global production. These minerals are essential for everything from smartphones and electric vehicles to advanced military technology, making China's dominance a critical factor in the modern world. This wasn't a matter of chance, it was a calculated strategy. The Chinese government poured billions into subsidies, maintained lax environmental regulations, and used aggressive pricing to drive out international competitors. As a result, many countries became almost entirely dependent on China for these vital resources. With this near-total monopoly, Beijing could dictate global prices and control supply chains, wielding rare earths as a powerful geopolitical weapon. This leverage gave China significant influence over industries and governments worldwide. In 2010, China flexed its power by abruptly cutting off rare earth exports to Japan during a diplomatic dispute. The move sent shockwaves through global markets, exposing the world's vulnerability and sparking a frantic search for alternative sources. Now, a major discovery in the Philippines threatens to break this stranglehold. Vast reserves of rare earths have been found, offering hope for a new independent supply. As a democratic nation with significant untapped reserves, the Philippines could upend the rare earth market and shift global power dynamics. Investors and governments are watching closely, eager to see if the country can rise to the challenge. If the Philippines can successfully extract and process these minerals, China's leverage over the world could evaporate almost overnight. This would mark a dramatic turning point in the global supply chain. For Beijing, this development represents an existential crisis, both economically and strategically. Losing control over rare earths would weaken China's bargaining power and threaten its ambitions on the world stage. A mineral-rich allied Philippines is a nightmare scenario for China, especially in the contested South China Sea, where control over resources and territory is fiercely disputed. The balance of power is shifting before our eyes. New alliances are forming, and the global market is already reacting to the changing landscape. The dragon's once unbreakable grip is slipping, and the world is witnessing the slow unraveling of China's rare earth monopoly. As headlines flash across the globe, governments, industries, and ordinary people are watching the fallout, knowing that the outcome will shape the future of technology, security, and global power for years to come. Beijing's response was immediate and forceful. Chinese ships, Coast Guard, militia, even warships, flooded Philippine waters, sending a message of intimidation. Their goal, make mining impossible without Chinese approval. Aggressive tactics escalated, water cannons, dangerous maneuvers, swarming Filipino vessels. Diplomatically, China accused the Philippines of provocation and launched disinformation campaigns. The strategy sowed fear, division, and doubt, hoping to keep the treasure locked away. The pressure was relentless, and the stakes had never been higher. China's aggression triggered a global response. The US, bound by treaty, pledged support and increased naval patrols. Joint military exercises with the Philippines ramped up, sending a clear signal to Beijing. Japan and Australia offered technical aid and investment, recognizing the strategic stakes. A new alliance of democracies formed, determined to uphold international law. The Philippines became a pivotal partner, not just for minerals, but for regional security. International support gave the Philippines breathing room to plan its next move. The world made it clear the Philippines would not stand alone. This discovery was no accident. It was the result of years of scientific work and advanced technology. Filipino oceanographers used autonomous underwater vehicles to map the seabed and identify mineral-rich nodules. High-tech sensors and spectrometers analyzed the nodules' composition in real time. The data revealed concentrations of rare earths beyond anyone's expectations. Now the challenge is extraction mining at extreme depths, in harsh conditions. Collector vehicles and riser pipes will be needed to bring nodules to the surface. This will require massive investment and international expertise. The technological race is just beginning. The promise of wealth comes with grave risks. Deep-sea mining could devastate fragile ecosystems, destroying species found nowhere else. Sediment plumes could smother marine life and disrupt food webs. The environmental cost could be irreversible. There's also the threat of corruption, the resource curse that has plagued many nations. Without transparency and strong governance, the wealth could be squandered or stolen. Laws and safeguards are essential to ensure the benefits reach all Filipinos. The treasure could build the nation or break it. The Philippines stands at a crossroads. One path leads to prosperity, world-class education, healthcare, infrastructure, and energy independence. The other path repeats history, corruption, division, and environmental ruin. The nation could become a leader or remain trapped by old patterns. The stakes are nothing less than the country's future. The world is watching to see which path the Philippines will choose. The decisions made now will echo for generations. Will the mineral wealth unite and uplift, or divide and destroy? The choice is in the hands of the nation's leaders and its people. The next chapter begins now.